Welcome everyone to our remote viewing target discussion this evening. Target number is 100609, the world's largest barbecue cookout. This target is furnished by Lynn Buchanan, and it's a free remote viewing training target. The discussion opportunity is offered by myself and Aesthetic Impact Informational Services, and we're happy to have everyone here this evening. Happy to have Lynn here to talk with us. Looking very like the wise man there. We do have upwards of 20 people scheduled. 15 are here, so we're going to go ahead and start. And so you know we have 8 targets to go over and try to discuss as much as possible, and most of those people are here, those viewers. Target feedback. Here we go. So this is what we'll be looking at, the world's largest barbecue cookout. Lynn spends hours on these targets, by the way. He tries to make them so that they're versatile, something for every level of viewing, from basic to advanced and beyond, so you can use all the tools in your tool belt. You have the opportunity to take breaks, to front load, or not. And Lynn, I think I'll go ahead and pull the first target up. Is that okay? Thank you for being with us. Love you. I see that little chin in the hand there. Chin in the palm. All right. Here we go. This is David Beatty's session, so you know your viewers and what level of training that they have had. I did encourage everybody to send their sessions in PDF. David has been through, I think, advanced with Lynn. He's taking his coordinates and getting ideograms and has moved into phase 2. I'm seeing Gestalt. He's got, oh look, Lynn, do you want to explain this ideogram that we're looking at here? David has it marked off into 5 sections.
Yeah. You do the ideogram, then you go across the ideogram, feeling of it, and you trace it the same way you did the whole thing to begin with, and you feel, and wherever there's a change in feeling, that's where you make your little mark. And I see that he's numbered them, and so what you're doing is you're separating your ideograms. Like the first ideogram here is large and over and slippery feel. Whoops, it
I did that.
went away.
No,
Okay.
well, I just thought I would try and get you some gestalts while you were talking. But
Well, the Gestalt was there on the page.
yeah.
But, and so it says slippery feeling and thrills feeling, and B1 is motion. So this part that he's said is ideogram number 1, he's defined as there is motion at the site. For those who don't know, that means there is the aspect of motioniness at the site. And so he's not talking about a specific motion, he's saying this site has motionness in it. By the same token, number 2 is, well, I can't read that word. Okay, number 3 is land. Here.
2 was watering.
Watery, okay. Wateriness, okay. So there is wateriness. 3, he says, this target also has an aspect of landiness and so on. And so you're getting the major aspects of the site You're not naming anything at the site. This is your subconscious mind's first contact with you, and it's saying, I don't know what the target is, but I know that there's wateriness and landiness and motion and stuff like that. Then when you go into stage 2, like he did here on page 2, he says, P2, I'm going to describe the motion. And spokish, okay? See, already he's on the target. You've got the silvery white and the spokish, and he's already there on the target because he's picking up that spoke pattern of the target. Then you notice right below that, he has gone and allowed the spokish part to drive a stray cat of bicycle technology. A lot of things have spokes. Old wagon trains and all that had spokes, and so does this thing here. And so here's where you start getting, okay, faint, reflective, metallic, thin, so on. Whoop feeling, okay. And here's where he comes up with the feeling that hopefully gets him back to the target. And it's looking good, looking like a good session already. Further down on that page, outdoors feeling, roomy, darkish, overhead. Push through thin, flashing like, okay, and describe. Easily pushed over, flimsy. He may be working back on the bicycle again, but sounds of a crashing bicycle, yeah. And here's where, when you try to identify the target, it's going to mess you up every time. You just describe. Motion continue, railing-like, good, and semicircular, and there he goes. He's back on target again. And so I would imagine this whole session goes pretty much the same way, where okay, goes to the wateriness, wave shape, and all that, no flow. And so here again, he's right there on the target. Hard, rigid, cementy, and all. Notice that this is under wateriness. One of the things that you know about controlled remote viewing is that these cues up here, like P2, wateriness, those are just cues to get you onto the target. The things that follow that cue are going to be from your mind winking about the site, okay? And so he's cued with wateriness, but that does not mean that the following descriptors have to describe the water. And so he's doing great here. Bowl shape and skateboard park. How is it like a skateboard park? Okay, and so he's asking questions to his mind here. This is fantastic. Bowls. How is it skateboard park like? It's bowl shaped. It's depression, gray, smooth, and so on. Largest, and so on. And so this is looking like a great session. I'm anxious now to see what his summary is like. Okay, black. This keeps jumping in ways. Oh, page 5.
Sorry, I'm
so
doing that so that we can hopefully get through everybody. So.
Yeah. And so it goes, okay, looks gritty, sandy, and all that. And so go ahead to the...
Lynn, somebody had a question in an email today about move commands. Could you work with that for just a second?
Yeah, actually.
Touch the land, like, and describe.
Oh, mentally touch the land, like, and describe. Okay, gritty. Mentally touch the land, like, and describe. In a way, this is sort of a move command, but...
Or a cue.
A cue, yeah. A move command is just a very simple cue. And you say, from where you are, and so if you have a monitor, the monitor has to keep track of where you are. But from where you are, move to wherever, okay? And that's really all it takes, is just somebody telling the viewer or the viewer telling themselves, hey, okay, I've described what's here, now I'm going to move to someplace else. Move becomes a magic word, a reserved word in CRV, and so like if the viewer's down at the bottom of the page, you don't say move to the next page, because he'll try to move at the target. You say go to the next page. The only time you say move is when you're moving a viewer around the target. And you've got to understand that in CRV, there is no difference between moving in time and moving in space. Therefore, you can say move back 10 yards, and the viewer will move back 10 yards. You can say move back 10 years, and the viewer will move back 10 years. There's no difference at all. And so time and space in CRV are treated exactly the same. Humanness, okay, 60s and 70s. Go ahead to the summary.
Okay.
That's
I like it. He's got people working in a staging area for this, because, I mean, this was like a relay, and it's a production, thrill, costume,
yeah.
And there was something else. Oh, does everybody know, does Uruguay produce coffee? Because he had a stray cat of coffee.
Yeah, and tea, I think, as well.
Okay, well, I wonder if here's a
woodjacking, drums like, yeah.
And if we're grilling meat.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, the whole explanation on the website says that there's music and so on.
Okay.
Summary, good.
Here you go.
The target has motion, and he's crossed that out. Now, when you write your summary, you write it at the end of your session when you have really good sight contact. And at that time, if you say, I know I said there was motion, but I don't think that's there anymore, fine, you just cross it out. You don't report it. All you do is you go back through your session and you look and you say, okay, the man-made. You go through your session and find those descriptors of whatever is man-made, and remember, you may find it under motion or you may find it anywhere else because you're winking about the site. And so you pick up those descriptors of the man-made, and if you still believe them now that you have your sight contact, then good to go, write them in. And so man-made, indoor, theater, auditorium-like, large interior space, stage-like, wooden, curtain-like, skirting, and so on. Okay. And as you go, whatever,
no, summary continued more.
Yeah, object, bicycle technology, silvery white, and so on. Appears to be seating in rows, true. And so on, atmosphere still stifling, yeah, I would imagine. In larger area, bold shapes, and so on. And so then what you do is, as you go through these, you write each descriptor out under its gestalt. And so, like, okay, he's got land, and then he breaks it down to the larger area, the indoor area, the outdoor area, and so on. And what happens here is, by putting each one on a separate line, you can judge each one by its own merits. And as you do, like black, okay? Black, that's a color. As you judge each one on its own merits, then you can go through and you can say, hey, here's how I do in colors, here's how I do in shapes, here's how I do in ambiance, here's how I do in smells, tastes, textures, and so on. And as that, it builds a viewer track record. that tells what your strengths and weaknesses are, and in doing that, you can know what to train for, what kind of targets to ask for to build your strengths and the things you need. And when somebody needs a viewer, they can look in the database and say, hey, this guy's strong in this, that, and the other. Those are the things I need. I'm going to choose this guy as a viewer because he's going to give me the right answers and the things that I need to know. This looks like a good session. 60s, 70s, shirted.
David, I took your mic off if you wanted to say something about your target, your session.
Hello. I didn't think this was one of my better sessions. Complaining over with. I did move from phase 2 to phase 4 and then back to phase 2 during the session. I realized I'd missed a gestalt. And although I had a strong sense of a theater or stage presence for money with costume persons, I wasn't necessarily sure that there was even a bicycle there, but looking at the grills that are at the target that they were barbecuing on, that's pretty bicycle technology. That was the nature of the sort of thing I was thinking about, that it's kind of flimsy, just strong enough to do the job. If you knock it over, it makes a hell of a racket.
The grill tops,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, the whole structure is kind of flimsy. But I did type up the summary on page 13, so you didn't have to crawl through my hand scratching there. To get this session started, I had to set aside a curved color pattern of 2 blues and a yellow. God knows what that was. But that was at the top of page 1, yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. Let me see if I can get it back there. And then Deborah needs to go shortly, so I thought we would go ahead and put hers up next. But I see how David colors everything in. That's always cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not certain that I was at the target, actually.
I think I would differ. This is a session that clearly has a lot of target content. I mean, you don't have elephants swinging through trees or anything like that. You don't have downtown Manhattan or something like that.
That's quite true.
I was going to say, David, your job is to describe, not identify, and
that's
a
right.
lot of the things, the perceptions that you've gotten, you're describing, grills.
Yes, and one of the things I'd like to point out is that he never said bicycle.
No.
He said bicycle-like, which is actually a very good descriptor.
And you have to figure the Army hauled in how many grills to get this done. So, they probably all didn't look alike. So, but anyway, thank you, David, and I really think we probably should move on.
Okay.
I like this as a session. I think it's good.
It was a great target. You did a good job. No matter what you think, I think you did a good job. And if you were working on a team, you would have valuable input. Yeah,
I always tell people, if you don't like your session, put it away for a week, bring it back out, look at the target and look at your session, and all of a sudden you'll have done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
All right. Deborah Katz, we're going to go next with you. Let me find yours because you said you needed to go. And Deborah also is, I need to figure out why Lynn's not lit up again. And he's not muted, so.
No, I'm just reading.
Yep, I'm not sure why you're, anyway, the camera's still stuck on David's name. And I don't know why, but we're going to move right along with Deborah. I'll take you off, but if we could let Lynn go ahead and look this over. I will try and not go too fast or too slow. Good luck with that. And Lynn's back on camera. I don't know why that comes and goes.
Are we on page?
Yeah, we are. She has
Page 2 now?
seven
Okay.
ideograms,
Okay.
just so you know. I'm trying to go through just because she said she had to leave, and I'm not. Her session is a little long.
And then moves over into phase 2. Now, okay, in phase 2 here,
Yeah.
you'll notice that she doesn't cue with one of the gestalts. It's perfectly all right. Because, like I try to get across to people, when you cue with the gestalt, like, describe the water, your first 2 or 3 things may be descriptors of the water, but then you wink about the site. And so underwater, under the cue of water, you're going to be having descriptors of the land and the man-made and just about everything else at the site. So when you see something on here that says P2, water, don't expect everything below that to be about the water, because you wink about the site. And so instead of queuing like this, she's already picking up information, and so just goes ahead with it. Fast, dry.
Lynn,
Yeah.
Just to make sure I'm following you, she does have her perceptions listed. She numbered them. Her ideograms are numbered 1 through 7. And she's listed them under P2 as number 1 she's working with, and then she moves to number 2.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's her system, evidently.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And but the same thing still applies, is that, like, she's got 1 for ideogram number 1. Okay. I forget what ideogram number 1 was. Motion, I think it was, or something. Okay, see, that doesn't mean that only the descriptions for motion are going to be under that cue. Because, what is...
Hang on, I'm
okay,
going
we're
back.
on page 1 now.
One is movement.
Okay, go down to the next page.
All right.
And we go down here, and P2, 1, fast. See, the movement is fast. Dry. The movement isn't dry. Something else is dry. Something else is challenging. Something else is messy and all over and so on. And so, don't get the idea that this cue of the 1 or the gestalt or whatever is going to give you a list of information about that. The cue is just a way to get you moving. It's a kick in the ribs. And so you're going to have descriptions of everything under each cue. And that's when you go back, when you write your summary, you go back and you say, okay, I'm describing the man-made now. You don't just go to the heading of man-made and look for information. You go through all of these for information about the man-made. The man-made is messy, right? Is that clear?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah,
so you're
right.
saying when you go through and write your summary, you
Yeah.
go through each perception and you put it under the gestalt that it would apply to if you choose to keep it.
If you choose to keep it, you put it in the summary under the gestalt it belongs to.
Right. That's what
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
what if you choose not to keep it? What does that mean?
that means you don't report it.
And why would you not want to report it?
Because once you get really good contact with the site and you run back over this, you know that something's wrong. This is one of the things that most people don't understand about remote viewing is until you get on site, you're given a lot of garbage. And this is one of the things people want to see your session. And so they go in and they're accustomed to reading books or reports or something like that, where the first paragraph tells what you're going to say, the middle tells, says it, and the last part says what you said. That's not the way a remote viewing session works. In this, beginning of a remote viewing session, you're lost. I mean, you're feeling your way around trying to get on target, and so there's going to be a lot of garbage. It doesn't matter whether there's garbage or not, because when you write your summary, you're going to get rid of the garbage. And so the summary writing is what separates the garbage from the good in the session, and takes the good stuff out and puts it in and into a summary that is well written and coherent. The session itself is neither well written nor coherent, and it's not even supposed to be. It allows you to wink about the site. It allows you to have stray cats. It allows you to make guesses and shoot right in the middle of a session. Let's say you remember that you've got to pay income tax tomorrow. Okay? Fine. Write it in. When your session summary is being written, you're not going to include that in your summary, and yet there you've made a note of it because it crossed your mind. And so the way a CRV session is made is that in your session, it doesn't matter what you write down, because when you do your summary, then you have good site contact. You're going to go back through your session and pick up the good stuff, drop out the garbage, and your summary is going to be about the target.
Page 3, and remember, this is like a relay. This was not lollygagging around. They were trying to set a record here. Someone is yelling.
I like her event here, P7.
Yeah, and this is page 3, and she's got somebody, they're moving. You can tell they're moving, doing something really strenuously. They're wearing spandex, and she has a guy on a bicycle.
Yeah.
You have to remember they're shuttling supplies all over the place at this huge barbecue. And so there's another viewer got a bicycle.
The entire layout of this place is going to remind every viewer of a bicycle or a wheel or something like that, because it is spoke-like, just like David said. Sliding, hear people yelling, people are sort of stressed, you bet. Okay. And I like the layout of this. Over on the right side of the page, over on the left side you have descriptors. Over on the right side of the page you have notes and things about yourself and so forth. Okay. Here on the right side of the page, basically I hear people yelling. And over here on the left side, she said yelling. Okay? Now, she could have also put people over there because she has an ideogram, I think, for biological or organic or people, and sort of stressed. Okay? The yelling and the people are stressed and all that. That could have gone over on the left. And yet, over here, she's saying, I hear people yelling, and I hear people sort of distressed and all that. So over on the right side is where you put your reactions, your notes, and here sliding. Okay, a person is sliding, slipping on something. This is a note. It's a clarification. This is perfect format here, because she's putting the descriptors of the target on the left and telling on the right what she's feeling, what she's sensing, and all this other stuff. And she's putting herself over on the right and the target over on the left. This is the way it's supposed to be. P4 matrix, good. A, D, A, I, E, I, N, C, S, C, C, S. Okay. Yeah, that would be P2, D, A, I, E, I, things, T. Or she's got nouns here. Yeah, nouns,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, and over here on A, adjectives or adverbs or, descriptors or whatever. Okay. Darker, bigger than glasses, okay.
He's doing a really good job describing this person.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to get ahead, knows what he's doing, he's done this before.
Yep.
And he's being timed.
Yeah, this is looking good.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah.
See, this shows really good sight contact. And that's the thing. If you can get the sight contact, you're going to have a good session. Unless, of course, you get off on some kind of a noun. You watch those nouns, man, because they will kill you on your session. And all the way through here, she's going through it. Ideogram 6 explored. Notice she went back to her stage 1 to ideogram 6.
Well, no, actually it's page 6, Lynn.
Look up here on the left. Ideogram 6 explored.
Okay. Wow, coincidence. Sorry about that.
And the thing is, you have to remember that remote viewing is not a stair-step thing where you go through step 1, step 2, step 3, and on up. It's a set of tools. You take out the tools you need. Let's say you're working on a car and you're already into the motor and everything else, and you need that original screwdriver. You just go over and get the screwdriver. And so what she's done here is she's already gone into stage 4 and all that. But then she wants to take a look at what that ideogram 6 was. So she goes back, picks it up, and uses it. And that's the way you're supposed to do. The protocol in remote viewing in CRV is not a scripted step-by-step thing. It's a toolkit. You grab whatever tool you need when you need it, and that's the way you're supposed to do, and that's what she's done here. This is good. Batting 100.
And an AOL of the Coliseum.
I didn't
on that
see
last page. I moved on you.
Oh, okay.
I remember I'm being a time Nazi here.
Yeah, okay. Cars crowded near each other, traffic, okay. Movement.
Put place under the noun, and she's describing that.
That's good. Let's go down to the summary on this one.
Okay.
Go back to...
Oh, yeah, she is stuck, by the way, on something. I glanced over her session. 2 or 3 places she gets into this sliding person thing.
Yeah.
And it does look like it could be downhill at that on the topology, but I can't swear to it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But she is just really stuck on this slippery person thing and liquidy, watery.
That happens.
Unless somebody fell down, I mean, they were running. You never know.
I cannot picture a place like this without some barbecue sauce on the ground somewhere. Of course, that's waffling, but
I know.
But I would not be surprised at people slipping and sliding.
Oh, I can see somebody taking a header with a bunch of stakes up over their, shoulder.
And of course, if we had full feedback on this, I would imagine that we'd find she was just right on target. This is one of the things, no matter how much feedback you give and no matter how many pictures you give, a viewer is always going to see things that you just couldn't cover in your feedback.
She's asking herself if she's missing anything.
Good question. One of the things that people don't remember is that one of the most important pages in your session is the next page. People do a session, they end it because they get tired or whatever, and then when they see their feedback, they say, oh, if I'd gone one more page, I would have gotten that. Well, go one more page. Ask yourself, am I missing something? This is great. This is a place to visit again and again. Can never get through wonders. Yeah. If you like barbecue the way I do, I would visit there every day.
and it's Uruguay. So she did, I don't know about a monkey. They she's getting rainforest and a monkey.
Yeah.
And then her session summary. Now she
Okay.
said, Deborah, you are not muted, so if you want to comment, I know you emailed me about using this. You felt like you left a lot out of your summary that you should have included.
I really did my summary super fast, and I kind of just went back to the memory. I should have just gone through the whole session, and I didn't include any of my P2s in it, so it wasn't really a thorough job. But I think I got the main themes in there.
It was a great session.
Yeah, this is one of the things, if you try to do your summary from memory, you're going to miss an awful lot of it. This is why you go back through your session, like you say, okay, the water is, or the land is, and you zip back through your session. And this seems like a lot of work for most people, and when you begin, it is a lot of work. However, what you find is that as you practice this, you get to where you say, okay, I'm going to describe the man-made, and you look back through your session and you zoom through it like a speed reader, and you find that the things that are about the man-made, your subconscious will make them suddenly stand out at you. And this is one of the best ways to make sure that you keep the good and get rid of the garbage, because you're not reading every single impression and saying, is that about the man-made, and so on. You zip through it, your subconscious will make the things about the man-made stand out to you. And you just take those things and move them over into your summary. When you learn to do it that way, your score is going to go up. Downwards male.
Can you use man pushing, shoving, nervous, get out of my way?
Yeah, get out of my way.
I bet.
Strong ambiances, you bet. Great feeling. Colosseum-y feel. Felt like monkeys nearby. I wouldn't be surprised if there were, you know, in fact, I think might be surprised if there were not monkeys nearby.
I just ran through the summary a couple times up and down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So everybody could look at it.
Yeah.
Deborah, anything else you'd like to bring up?
No, unfortunately, I have to go teach a class on my own right now. I really wish I could stay on this call, but I really appreciate you going through that, and I love seeing everyone else's, so thank you.
Well, we're recording, so if you can catch up with it later.
Yes, definitely, and then I'll be back next week. Thank you.
2 weeks.
Okay. Good session.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for sending it and sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you.
This is great because it makes you just have to do it. You know, I think deadlines and reasons to get sessions done are so important to practice. So, all right, signing out. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, that was a good one. And I shouldn't say that like others are going to be bad ones. They're all great learning opportunities. Okay.
These are good sessions so far. I'm not just trying to say nice things. These are actually good sessions so far.
Okay, this is Michelle, and I think I can make her. Where did she go?
Good. Okay.
I think I can make her panelist. Maybe she's. Oh no, is she gone?
Seems to be.
All right, we'll come back to her. All right.
Wait a minute.
This is. Oops, what?
Attendees 10.
Yeah, she's not in there. I just looked.
Oh, she's not. Okay.
No. Maybe she. If she. I had so many people emailing me. I can't remember if she had to go early. I don't think so, but. Okay, so we'll skip hers for the moment. So there's David's. We did his. And, all right, this is Jed's, and he's not here. But so we just will read over this. And he's learning from home. He's never had any formal training and just comes to see us every now and then. And he was up in Minnesota with us, I do believe, was the place where I met him. Object is a contraption, conglomerate, which is inclining, has a trajectory, is pushing, scholarly, breathtaking, nearing zero, has an ocular motion, senses people doing construction or working on it. Colors are silver, blue, and yellow. There's a sense of cushion, softness, or bouncy. And just so you know, Jed sent an email, and he's on vacation next week. He's going to let me tutor him just a little bit.
Good.
So maybe I can get him started so he can, I think he'll, once he can get good sight contact regularly, he'll start picking up quite a bit of stuff in a structured way. So
good.
So he sent that in, even though he's had no training at all, formal training. And this is Robert Hines. He also has not had any formal training, and he has a mic. Where did he go? Oh, did he evaporate too? Oh, nope, there he is. All right, and he's here and he's not muted. Okay. Here we go. And he is actually the son-in-law of one of my very best friends. And so he was trying remote viewing and some natural abilities all on his own. He's had no formal training at all, so I'm just beginning to work with him just a little bit. And he's making sight contact here, but he doesn't know structure or how to explain essentially what he's getting. So he and I are going to start working just a little bit.
Okay. What is that? Is that over target, above target?
Okay. Robert?
I can't read that word there.
Slope or diagonal. Then he has flowing circles.
And then something target.
Above target.
Is it above target?
Above target. And
oh yeah, I see. Okay.
He wrote down feelings dry and his eyes watered. Robert,
yep.
Hi, glad you could be here. Can you explain your sketches at all to us? Like, I can't remember what, I think you told me on the telephone once. You have a sketch here with an X through it. What does that mean? Can you explain?
Does he have a mic?
I thought so. Yeah, and it's not muted. That's okay.
So far, there is a lot of sloping and diagonals, and I'm not sure what that is, but it seems to be a common theme through almost everybody's work so far.
And the glowing circles, we're dealing with barbecue pits here.
Oh yeah, you bet. I mean, there's zing right on the target right there, above the target, and then he's crossed that out.
Yeah, so I can't remember. It seems like when he talked to me, the X means something insofar as how he's pinpointing something, like where he was.
Yeah, okay.
But I hate to speak for him.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And my eyes watered.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, God. Sorry, I just pulled my computer over there. That was not good. I caught my finger in my mic cord and tipped my computer. But luckily, all seems to be well. I'm glad the camera's on you right now. Okay. So anyway.
But see, this right here shows contact. Shows sight contact.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first things you look for as an analyst is, you know, is this person describing elephants in the, elephants in the desert, or is this person describing the target? And if you see that there is site contact, then you go on in and you put some faith in what the person says.
Robert, Robert's hand's up. Can you, he's got a note in here. I'm so sorry. One person who sent a session, I'm reading all the lists.
Okay.
Robert's saying he can't transmit for some reason with his mic. The X was written after the target. I didn't mean to mark out the target. The X was important to the target.
Oh, okay, good.
Can you explain how it was important? Because this could be just your way of recording something. Because I didn't think you meant to mark it out. It means you're trying to communicate something, and I just haven't learned your language yet. I only saw an X after I wrote the shape there. Okay.
Oh, so there was an X, you saw an X, okay.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say, Robert?
What I'd say, Robert, is that this absolutely shows just zinging in on the site contact, and the dry feeling and your eyes watering. This is the beginning of what's called aesthetic impact, where you're not just describing the site, but you're also putting yourself into the site. And the fact that you've done that in, what, 4 lines, that's pretty good. That is not shabby at all.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I said, son, we should need to get you a little training so you're not wandering out on your own.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. And then, okay, I think we probably should get moving a little bit. And Marco has his hand up, and Marco is with us from Iceland. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hey, boss, how are you?
Are you awake up there in Iceland? Your hand's up, so it makes me think you're awake. Marco, I'm getting noise and some feedback, but I scrolled back up. Warm greetings from Iceland. Okay. It could also be a bandwidth thing, even though I've got the highest DSL, whatever. And Robert just said what you talking about, what you said about the aesthetic impact. It's always immediately at the beginning. So it sounds like he lands viewing.
With Robert, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. I don't know why Marco's kind of having a little bit of feedback problem here, but for the moment, I'm going to mute his mic.
Okay.
And let's go back to this is Ben Kopp.
Okay.
And Ben, we just met since I started this particular target registration. And we chatted for a moment when we first got here, and he's one of Dave Morehouse's students.
Oh,
and has also studied technique with Russ Tart.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So let me find him here in the mix. Oh, good. He is not muted. And we'll start looking at his session. Okay? He sent his summary to me in an email, and I converted it to a Word document, so this is everything. So let me scroll it down a little bit and possibly can get it all on one page.
It's very interesting. The purpose of the area is testing, which is exactly what a cook-off is. You know, it's competition. And
they were trying to set a world record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with the size of it, but each person within it is trying to win, you know, the best barbecue. Be transported by train and truck. Closing. Image of shoes or boots lined up. Okay. Here is this is the summary. Okay, initial impressions, land, circular path, good. Okay, vehicles. Okay, AOL. And notice that here, the nouns, vehicles on a track, he has marked as AOL. This is good. If you had said AOL, you know, it's like vehicles on a track or something, that's one thing. But if you had just put this target is vehicles on a track, you would have basically been wrong. Marking it AOL like this says analytic overlay, this is somehow like vehicles on a track, and you're right. And so having marked this AOL, that's perfect. That's good. Constructed, land developed over time, vertical manufactured surfaces present. Okay. Here again, I'm wondering, vertical manufactured surfaces present, and people get sloping and elevated land was in one of them, and so on. And I'm just wondering if there's something that I missed in my feedback. Too many people are getting this. I would tend to believe it's there. Letting through, as in letting viewers through doors or gateways, okay. Specific man-made purpose, not a place of residence. Absolutely right. Not a place to stay longer than necessary. You get full, you leave, yeah. Purpose for testing. See, there's a lot of good information in this. And AOL, here again, you've got the noun. You want to be careful of these nouns. And here again, large shipping containers. AOL means there is something like large shipping containers of the type that would be transported by train. And that's right. Now, if that were not marked as an AOL, it would be wrong. And so it's very good. Good training. Dave's a good trainer, and Russ goes through it pretty quickly. I think he spends about 15 minutes, and all of a sudden you're a remote viewer. But Dave is a really good and thorough trainer, and so I like the way you have taken these noun phrases and marked them as AOLs. That's good. Closing. Image of shoes or boots lined up. Not sure about that. I like the lined up part because everything in there is lined up, and lined up tables, lined up barbecuing areas, and all that. That's kind of a curious one because it doesn't really match what's up above. That's one of those things that would make me go, huh? But I mean, you got an image of shoes or boots lined up, and you reported it. That's the right thing to do. Yeah, this is good. This shows site contact, and that's really the important thing.
Ben, did you want to contribute anything about your session?
Let's see, are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, because my connection went down right in the middle of Lynn's discussing my session. I'm very sorry that I missed most of what he had to say. I wanted to ask one question, But first, to explain very briefly about the way the session was done, this is obviously not following the standard CRV structure. It was a fairly rapid and unstructured session, which is more of what Russell tends to recommend.
Yeah,
and I guess I'm just trying to find my way and integrate both what I've learned from the structured CRV and the unstructured narrative here. But
Russ gives a great introduction, but it's definitely not a course. And he says he can teach you to remote view in 15 minutes. He can teach you to bring out your natural ability in 15 minutes, but he can't teach you to remote view. You took with Dave, and Dave, it looks like Dave did a good job here of teaching. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, Dave is very thorough, but what I wanted to ask is something, Lynn, that came up in this session and that I find frequently in my sessions. This target is a great target, and it's a great illustration. So if we were to say pick 3 prominent features of this target, say the circular shape, which I got at the beginning, say the topic of food and cooking, and the smoke, a very rich sensory feature of this target. Well, I only got one of those, which was the circular shape and vehicles going around a track, which was my first image. I was hesitant to call it a vehicle. I said objects going around a track. But what is happening when a target has such prominent features and the viewer just misses it?
Well, let me tell you, that puts you down there with the rest of us. It happens all the time. You'll be attracted to one part of the site, and sometimes one of the parts of the site will be so overbearing that you will just sort of blank it out. But why does it happen? Generally because you haven't spent enough time in the session. And when you go in and do a really quick session, it will just come out. But the thing that most people don't realize is, let's say you're doing something for the police, and you give your summary to the police, okay? The police are not going to go through and check every single thing off. And they're really not concerned with how well you describe things, well, they want very clear descriptions and all. What they're concerned about is, if this guy wrote this down in this paper, how much faith can I put into it? And so look through here. Look through your session that you did here. Land incorporated in a man-made surface. Is that right or wrong? It's right. Circular path with object writing on the surface. That's right. AOL, it is like vehicles on a track. That's right. How is it like that? That's a question you could have asked yourself and gained more information. Okay, constructed. Land developed over time. Plant life remains in area. That's all correct. You go through this thing, and I was looking through here for something that is wrong, and I can't find it. And so, basically, of the information you've given here, it's good information, and it's good stuff. And so when you look at the things you miss, I can guarantee you that if we could go back in time machine or something like that, there would be 10,000 things on here that you missed. The thing is, of the things you gave me, how many are right and how many are wrong? And you'll find that if you look through here, you're right. And that's really what matters in a session, is the information right or wrong. And looking through here, I don't really see anything that I could say is wrong. Not a place of residence, not a place to stay longer than necessary. Testing, yeah, they're in competition here. Everybody is testing their stuff to see who has the best. Resources are brought in when needed, yeah, and so on. This is a good session. And, you know, you can say, well, I missed this and I missed that and I missed the other. Yeah, that, like I say, that puts you right down there with the rest of us. There is no way you can ever completely describe a target. It just doesn't work. You can't do that.
Lynn, thank you so much for spending this time with us. It's very valuable. I hope to meet you at IRVA in Las Vegas.
Oh, good. Glad to be there. Yeah, I hope this helps. That was a good session, by the way.
By the way, I'm scrolling down through the feedback. I'm looking at 2 motorcycles, maybe 3, with spokes.
Well, yeah, I would say, okay, you have vehicles, the press and the motorcycles and all going around. And I would say that this is where the vehicles come from, and they're going around this track and all that, and they're going around the oval, okay? I would be very careful about saying, and they have spokes, because that really borders on trying to find information to fit the session, which borders on waffling. And yeah, they have spokes. I think that almost anybody viewing this thing from overhead would see spokes.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure that, like where David put spokes, I'm not sure that I would be that quick to put it to a vehicle.
Okay.
This thing is spokes.
The way that was laid out?
Yeah,
So I would scroll down through the feedback again. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, we probably should move on. This particular viewer isn't here. She needed to go unless she's popped back in. No, I don't find her. All right. But let's see who else might be here. Marco, let's try you again. Marco, I've taken your mic off. And we'll scroll down through his session.
Yeah. Marco's CRV structure is just immaculate. On each one of these, on page 1 here, you notice he's got the A, he's got the shape, and that always ends with a feel, soft and so on. And you have the shape, the feel, and then the gestalt. This is an immaculate CRV construction.
I went ahead and muted him again.
Okay.
He typed in a little bit ago, so hopefully he'll chime in if he has something to say. So I'm just scrolling down through his phase 2s.
Okay, and as we go through the phase 2s, notice that he's put all of his nouns over to the side. When you, like house here or something, okay, when you call it a stray cat or an AOL and put it over to the side, you're not saying it's wrong. And the fact that you're not saying it's wrong doesn't mean that you're saying it's right. It just means that it is a noun or it is a stray cat or an AOL, and therefore it is not a specific descriptor in and of itself. A descriptor is yellow, brown, black, heightened, away, big, strong. House is not a descriptor, that's a noun. And so you're supposed to describe not identify, so you take all your nouns and set them off to the side. One of the secrets about CRB and why it has the accuracy it has is because the minute you try to name something, oh man, it's a trap. And you get yourself caught in that trap. If he had said, this is a house, he would have started describing a house, and there are houses there, and he would have started describing a house and so forth. But he didn't do that. He set the noun off to the side so that he didn't get trapped by it. And when that happens, you're free to go ahead and describe. Yeah, one of the things you'll find about Marco's structure is it's just really immaculate. It always is.
Just scrolling down through the session.
Ship, swamp. Okay. Cool. Semicircular. Okay.
Sorry. Oh, there we are. Now we're moving to describing the biological.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And motion and okay. We're here.
Sorry.
And then the space. Okay. Notice here. Let me stress this again.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh.
Glad you're with us.
Good.
Notice here on page 4, he's got P2 biological, round, sturdy, and so tall, and then he gets bright and away. And let me stress again that in phase 2 especially, you're going to be winking about the site. And so even though you've cued with biological, you're going to have descriptors of other things come in underneath that cue. So when you write your summary, don't just go to the cue for the man-made or whatever. Go through the whole session, because you're going to find those things sprinkled in all over there. How you doing, Marco?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a little bit late here, and I must keep my voice down because I have people sleeping here.
Yeah.
Ah.
Can you see also video? Wait.
I can't. Let me see.
Here's the first AI that we've seen declared as an AI, I think.
Yes. Mass in front of me. Okay, confused. Yeah. Some mass in front of me and confused. Yeah, sketch. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's helping me out with some tools here. And here's the sketch.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't know if you heard or not. I don't know if you heard or not, Marco, but I was telling everybody that your structure is just immaculate. I mean, this is the kind of thing you put up and say, here's how it's done.
Is an AI and moves into phase 3.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Someone asked, Debbie Height in an email asked if it's okay to force an AI.
Yes. If you do it right.
It's in our manual. I'm not sure. I could tell her which page. Stray cat, previous session. Okay. And he's labeled his sketch. And then comes down to...
Yeah. Here's another thing for... was it Robert? I'm not... No, it was... Anyway, another thing. I think that Dave has you just write your impressions right on the sketch. What we try to do is get you to number it and then go down here to the number and write your impressions there. That way you know which impressions came first, second, third, and fourth. A good analyst can tell not only stuff about the target from your descriptors, but also from the order in which you got your descriptors. And so if you number something, 1, 2, 3, and so on, come down here and write the descriptors as you get them. You still have your descriptors. The number tells where on your sketch those descriptors belong, and the analyst will also get to see the order in which you got them. So this is the perfect way to do this.
Nice session.
Yeah. Summary. Got a summary here.
Okay.
Target's man-made, natural, motion, biological, space. Good. The man-made is big. Yep. Long, oblong, strong, metallic. Okay, sweet. Boxy, brown. Here again, looking at these, I think you would be kind of hard put to find anything that's wrong so far. Looking away, biologicals looking away, the space is round, yeah. Tremendous. The space is tremendous, yeah, this is the largest one in the world, yeah.
Other things he found at the site.
Yeah. Here's one important thing about writing a summary. If you do it and you write it according to your gestalts, it's going to automatically be highly organized. It's going to be very readable. It's going to be clear to everybody. But there are going to be some things that just don't fit under those gestalts. So your last paragraph of any summary should be, other things I found were, it's daytime, there's a ravine, there's transport, stuff like this. These are things that did not fit under the other gestalts. And so he has that last paragraph that says, other things I found were.
And Robert is thanking us that it would have been helpful for me to numbering.
Yeah.
So Robert just learned something there.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Marco, I know you're trying to get down there because people are sleeping. Would you like to say something?
Oh, sure. Well, firstly, Lynn was commenting my immaculate the session. Yeah, the session. So actually, I have to give you a tip. When I was doing my session, I was using Lynn's book and Lynn's session, and I just used the protocol like in the Lynn book in the session that we had. So I was checking it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me anyway?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So actually, I didn't look the feedback until I logged inside in the web, and I also a little bit miscalculated the time difference. I was planning to come 1 o'clock, but it seems that it's actually 4 hours different. So that's why I was late. And actually, when I saw the feedback, I thought, okay, I was off target. Because I think if I look back on my phone, I think when I started to have like straight cuts, like indicating something like water or sea, the ship, then I started like just a strong impression, just like the old session. I think it was from the end of the week. There was this kind of. I don't want to indicate how the target was looking like, but it felt like I had already target. So I think I started building, imagining the things.
Well, the question though is not what were you imagining this to be.
Yeah.
The question is, if we look through the summary, did you describe the target? And what will happen a lot of times, your mind will let you go ahead and have these, build your castles and all that.
Yeah.
And your mind will say, okay, I'm going to tell you what's common to a ship and a barbecue. And so this is why I tell a lot of people, if you think you missed the target, put it away for a day or two, take it back out and look at it and look at the feedback, and you'll be surprised at how well you actually did. Because people get one thing in their mind, and when they see the target and it's not what they thought it was, then they think, oh, I missed the target. The question is, did you describe the target? That's what you're there to do. And if the answer is yes, then, hey, think what you want the target is. It doesn't matter as long as you're describing the real target. And your subconscious has a way of coming in and saying, okay, dummy, you have whatever dream you want, you know, I'm going to describe the target. And your subconscious has a way of taking over the session.
I was, when it happened, I was aware of it, but it was still very hard to, control it because.
Oh yeah, it can be impossible to control it sometimes, yeah.
Because I think there is some kind of water element in the park, or it's next to the sea or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the map, it looks like next to the sea. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's right on the coast, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I got this water, and then if you can picture, there's like a lot of this white color. And there was, it must be a ship, big white ship. And,
see, there you go, naming, man. The minute you start naming instead of describing, you're messing yourself up.
There's a lot of sessions though had a lot of water in it. They were noticing that.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, just for everyone to learn, we do have 2 more sessions. The viewers aren't here if we want to take a look at those. Marco, did you have anything else?
Well, I actually wrote you many questions, but we don't have time.
If you don't want to ask them here, write them to the CRV list, and that way the questions and the answers will help everybody.
Sure. Okay. Okay, we'll just continue.
No, I was going to say, you want to try for 1 or 2?
Did you ask me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you mean questions?
Yeah, you said you had questions.
Yes. Yeah. This is where, a lot of small detailed questions, but not, because, when I was doing the sketch, then I already had the idea that this is, from the smoke session. How is the policy? Because I don't want to describe the target to make other people, hear it and stuff. But it's, then I basically explore this stuff that I had already done.
Yeah. What you have to remember is that the P3 sketch is an ideogram. And just like in the beginning, in phase 1, you want to let your hand do it. You don't want to make up a thing in your mind beforehand and say, oh, I bet it's a man-made, and therefore you make the man-made ideogram, because that's not really an ideogram. That's just telling what you think. And with the P3 sketch, you have to let your hand do it. You just have to feel your way around it. And the minute you start saying, oh, I know what it is, move your mind to something else. Because from that point, you're identifying, not describing. And so that P3 sketch, you want it to be just all of a sudden the target's there in front of you. Okay, basically sketch what you're feeling to the side of you, to the front of you, to the back of you, overhead, underfoot, and all that. But don't figure out ahead of time, because the minute you do, it stops being an ideogram. And if you let it be an ideogram and just let your hand and your mind, your subconscious do it, then it's an ideogram. You can touch it anywhere and get information off of it.
Well, in this part of the sketch, I give, you know, put the link and part of I did with my mind. So it was, you know, I was right. But some more questions in a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I feel like you know, this you know, my vocabulary is not I'm always getting, you know, the same basic stuff. This is not I don't get it more detailed, you know. In average, if I look at it, I always get, you know, in average the same vocabulary. Like I never get like sounds, I never get smells, taste.
Oh, okay.
How can I improve in this respect?
Okay. Do you put your sessions into the database?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You may want to, well, you've already noticed then, like you don't get sounds and all.
Yeah.
So what I would do is write to the list or write to one of us and say, I'm weak in sounds, I don't get these. Can you send me some targets where sound is the most important thing, or where taste is the important thing, or something like that? And then we'll custom design some targets for you.
Let me clarify. Marco, is it you don't pick up sounds in your session, or you don't have the language to describe different sounds and different noises?
No, the first one. I don't.
The first one. Okay. All right.
Maybe if I use active use, maybe you know, like click on the target or describe. I don't use active use a lot.
When he's practicing, could he cue himself, Lynn?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And how would he do that?
You say sounds.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, there's another thing, like you hear people sounds. Okay. Then you go back and you say, okay, there are millions of different sounds that people make. What kind of sound is this? Is it a happy sound, a sad sound? Is it crying? Is it yelling? Is it whispering? Something like that. And, you know, you don't go naming those. You just ask yourself, what kind of human sounds am I hearing? And things like every now and then you get something like there's a motor sound. Okay, describe the motor sound. There are deep rumbling motors, there are high-pitched fan motors, there are whining motors, there's constant sound, there's sound that goes up and down, and, you know, let's say you're hearing a sound that goes like that. It could be the sound of a motor passing by, at which time you've picked up on the motion part of it. And so when you do get something like there is sound, don't stop with that and start asking yourself to describe the sound. You can even cue it. Put it in parentheses and say, describe the sound. And as you do that, you're going to make yourself more sensitive to different sounds. And as you do, that will correct the fact that you're not getting sounds in session.
Okay.
So yeah, you can keep stuff with it. Yeah.
Okay. Is somebody like recording this meeting that we can?
Yeah. Teresa is recording this. Yeah.
Okay. Because Teresa, do you want to move on? Okay.
Well, we do have a couple of more sessions. If we could come back to your questions, I would like to get these on and see if Lynn has some teaching points that he'd like to bring up.
I think the things that people are doing in these sessions are really good teaching points.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to mute this just for a second, okay? Like I brought up Michelle's session, she's not here.
Yeah.
But, she's seeing, and her AOL is star-like and reminds her of a star.
Yeah. Which, of course, you know, has the rays coming out and all that. Whale, big. Now, she may mean something else by whale.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can't jump to the conclusion that your interpretation of her AOL is the right one. But you know, the thing is, you have to ask yourself, is this right, or could this be right, or could it be wrong? And the thing is, if she then comes and does the session summary and takes that information into the summary, that's when you say, okay, now we can judge it correct or incorrect. But like here, you're on page 3, okay, opposing forces or opposing field 2, or land, people, silence. I would be willing to bet that, is that silence?
Let me go back.
I think it is silence right there.
Yes.
I would be willing to bet that you could mark that 0. You could mark that one wrong. But only if she takes it into the summary, because the summary is the only thing you score. You don't score the session because the session has both good and garbage. You only score the summary because the summary is written when the person has the site contact, and that's when they've gone through their session and said to themselves, I don't believe that, or I do believe that, or whatever. And so, you know, if she were to take silence into the summary, I think you could probably mark it wrong. But as it is here in the session, you can't do that. It's just an impression she got. She'll move on. There may be other information that'll cancel that out or whatever. And, okay, old CRB session of crumbling building, okay? Whoa, excitement. Oh, good.
AI.
Yeah, AI break. Whoa, excitement. Good deal. Now, you notice on here, whoa, excitement, but she didn't tell how it made her feel. One of the things about the AI is the AI comes when you put yourself into the target. And so, whoa, excitement. There's excitement at the target. But how does it make me feel? And that's the second part of every AI, is you have to tell how it makes you feel. And then this P3 sketch that just came out, and from what it looks like right here, what she's doing is she's just sketching what she's seeing right in front of her. Bursting open, okay?
Oops, sideways.
Yeah.
As we all tip our heads now, looks like Forrest Gump here.
AOL break, V-shapes, AOL break, water nearby. I would bet that if we could get a zoom out on this picture of the target, that we'd find it's right near the water. I mean, there's just, you got to believe remote viewers because they see things that, you know, and if so, then that brings up a good point, that a remote viewer is going to describe the target. They're not there to describe the picture. Because when you get into the real world, the police and archaeologists and all that, they don't have a picture of what they want. If they did, they wouldn't need a remote viewer. And so what you do is you always view the target, not the feedback picture. And the fact that everybody here is getting water and water nearby and all that tells me that they're not viewing their feedback, they're viewing the actual target. And that's what you want to do. Okay, reminds me of a busy center and
Meeting place.
Oh, meeting place and male influence. Okay, did she just describe the South American events?
Right, your P4 matrix.
P4 matrix, stage 2, dimensions, AI, EI, things and intangibles, tangibles and intangibles. And so it looks like she got training from either Paul or Dave, either one, because this is the header they use, AOL/S and AOLS, which is good header, by the way. Hard, cementy, white, extremes, Asia, hut, straw, yellow, fragile.
I'm going to move on to the next
page.
She's fixated on something to do with the building.
Decision making, foreign country, okay. By the way, she's got foreign country here.
Summary, by the way. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I just scrolled down and found an interim summary.
Oh, okay.
Some of these sessions just rolled in today, and I haven't had a chance to look at them.
Okay. As if one major element. Let me go back up and point out something here. She's got under the conceptuals column, foreign country. She's got it in quotes, which means it can also come back as like a phase 7. I don't know if her teacher taught her about phase 7s or not, but if you actually think about it, every country has its own ambiance, and generally different parts of the country will have its separate ambiances. New York City has a different ambiance than Tupelo, Mississippi, you know, and many times by just stopping and saying, what does this place feel like, you'll get a pretty general area, you know, pretty general idea of where you are in the world. Places that are high altitude have a different rarity of the air. They have a different, like skies or whatever, you know, and than low places that are at sea level and all. And so many times by feeling the ambiance, you can even name the country that it's from. Believe me, Germany and Mongolia and China and Chile. They all have different ambiances, and they are really specific, and you can feel these things. Okay, stage 4.5. I think she probably studied with Dave then. Stage 4.5 is considered to be an interim summary. Sometimes something here seems piecemeal, as though major element but other important pieces connected and essential to the overall essence of the target. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, you got how many hundred people doing this, and they're all actually doing the same thing, and it's all piecemeal, but it is on the same target. Cave rooms. Reminds me of cave or many small dark rooms, okay? 500 feet.
Okay, so there's a move command.
Yeah. From 500 feet,
I don't know what TFP is.
Thing should be perceived.
Oh.
Generally, the English Swan Q is something should be perceivable. Here she's got, looks like thing should be perceived. It's round, vast, and hard. Okay? From 500 feet in the air, all of a sudden she's looking down on this whole thing. Round, vast, hard. Break, phone call. I have noticed, by the way, that anytime I do a real session, I have to wait until about 2 in the morning to do it, because there's something about me doing a session that is like a magnet. The doorbell starts ringing, the phone starts ringing, and you know, and so I just have to wait until the wee hours before I can even do a session. I get all kinds of sympathy from my wife. She says, "Hey, you taught him to be psychic. It's your own fault, you know." Oops, cabinets, carpentry, building. Okay, I think she has built a castle here. Horse animal. Yeah, reminds me of an amusement park. Okay, look at this. Reminds me of an amusement park. And that comes right after stairs, rooms, books, cabinets, carpentry, building, artistic, cultural, horse, animal. See how that doesn't fit? That's her subconscious mind saying, yeah, go ahead and build your castle, but I'm going to tell you what the target is. And when you find these things that don't fit like this, generally as an analyst, you can say, she's gone off on a tangent. But look here. Here's her mind coming back and saying, this is what the target is. And so you can generally put a lot of faith in them. I'm sorry?
I wonder if the horse and the animal was part of their grilling steak, or if it was trying to swing her back.
Probably so, yeah.
Possibly.
Fun. And see, all of a sudden she's away from books and shelves and all that. She's fun, tourist, laughing, busy, road, structure, Ferris wheel. You're going to find with this target that everybody finds spokes and wheels and things like that simply because of the layout. White, round, calm, spiritual. Reminds me of a temple, quiet space. Here she's all of a sudden starting to build another castle.
Well, I think Dalai Lama and Gandhi wouldn't be too much in agreement with grilling beef. Cows.
No, this is what I say. She's building another castle here. Pictures
well, I don't
and
know.
all.
What do you think, though? I mean, for a conceptual or a P7, her subconscious is trying to tell her cows. Dalai Lama and Gandhi.
I don't get the connection there.
Indians, cows are sacred. They don't eat cows.
Oh, I see. Cows. I thought you said house.
Cows, sorry. So they don't eat cows, and we're grilling cows here.
But she's putting the Dalai Lama and all that in a temple in a quiet space and spiritual and calm and all that. I would tend to not make that connection here.
Okay.
Like I say, though, it's what goes into the summary that counts.
Yeah, and we're not there yet.
So the fact is that if she got this in her mind, it was correct to write it down.
Okay, one summary coming up.
Summary: this target is a structure. Water may be nearby. There's your water. Nearby. Very influential male related to the target. Target is tall, vast, land. Cementy through some aspect, though some aspect is round, sense of shimmering and shiny.
Glowing barbecue coals.
Be a place tourist-like, okay.
Very historic. Making history. I don't know about the old, if what was there before.
Yeah, Yeah, the thing with, there's explaining and there's waffling, and it's hard to set a different, exact line in between. It's sort of like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not funny anymore, And if you see something and you make a connection, but you have to explain it because it's not obvious, then as an analyst, I would tend to just sort of let it go. It's highly educational. This target is highly educational. I'm not sure that'd be correct. Reminds me of a museum or a meeting place. Now, there are buildings all around this place. I don't know what those buildings are. And so I couldn't say it's wrong. But the question is, even if those are museums or meeting places and all that are educational, is that really describing the target? And that's where I would tend to have to say no, even a temple, okay? And so here's where you score it, yes, no, and so on. Also here, I would say again that probably Dave was your teacher in this. It's sentence structure rather than sort of outline form where, like on this, sense of creation and something with a building here, okay? Okay, sense of creation, absolutely yes. Construction or a building here, well, in this case, yes. But what I'm trying to say is that if you have run-on sentences like this, and part of it is right, and part of it is wrong, how are you going to score it? And of course, the example is, there's a white 3-story building, and the feedback shows a white 1-story building. Were you right or wrong? And the answer is yes. And so this is one of the reasons why you try to put one perception per line so that you can score every single perception on its own merits. And you can't do that with a run-on paragraph like this. However, if you do it in the outline format, then you can take that outline, simply put it into sentences, and you've got a well-written essay-type format.
Oh, we have one more.
Okay.
I don't know. how long it is.
Now that other, you know, I was saying that there's a lot that's very questionable in the summary, but you look through the session, and as an analyst on that one, I would say there was site contact, and so I would start paying attention to it. I wouldn't just, you know, say, no, this has no contact with the site and throw it away. Okay, San Francisco, before 9 p.m. Okay, see all of these where she's saying POCAs, this is previous thoughts about the target, and she lists those. Okay, POCDs, distractions, under pressure of time, not sure if I'm going to be able to join the WebEx, and so on. And then she sets these aside. You do that at the beginning of the session, and they don't bother you. If you don't get rid of them, Ingo calls this objectifying them. If you don't get rid of them, they can haunt you all the way through the session. So at the beginning of a session, take anything you think the target is and set it aside. Take anything that's bothering you and set it aside, and then you can go into the session just clean. And that's the way you want to do that.
She's gotten water and land.
Wiggle line up and down. Okay, slope smooth. Okay, look at this.
Oops, sorry, back.
Go back.
Yeah, back.
Okay. She has written this out rather than just using single words, but look at this. She's got the shape of the line and the feel, and then the gestalt. It's what you're supposed to do. You go for the shape, the feel, and then your wild guess about what the target, you know, what the gestalt is. So this is perfect. That's, you know, she's made it out into more than just single words, and yet it's perfect. It's the way you're supposed to do it. Yeah, go ahead to the next page. Okay, organic, biological, and
it feels loud to her.
Land.
Land. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, land.
Sherman at work, asking question. Oh, Sherman at work, asking questions. Okay, resume. Yeah. Almost any time you're at work or around people, and you really get going on a good session, somebody's going to interrupt. I mean, it attracts people like a magnet. Okay.
Oh, she aborted one. Oh, aborted more than one.
Where is this?
Under organic bio, and then she started to take her coordinates again, and she aborted.
Okay. Oh, abort. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then she took them, and then she aborted again.
Yeah, I see. Usually those things are over on the right side because they're not about the target. Target stuff generally goes on the left side. But yeah, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, something happened there.
Oh, listen, I was trying to do an ARV session a week or two ago. I've done another one, by the way. If Gail is here, I've done another one. But I tried to do an ARV session, and I think during a 30-minute time period, I must have gotten 7 or 8 phone calls, and, you know, and yeah, this looks like one of my sessions, abort, 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 you know, break, resume, break, resume.
Down in her P2, she's got a sketch sneaking in. Want to make any comments about that? Sketching in phase 2?
Sketching in phase 2 is fine. What you have to realize is that, okay, she's got hard, smooth, and then an irregular boundary, and she sketches the boundary. What if you had to find a single word that described that line? You couldn't do it. And so in phase 2, when you say, okay, it's like this, that is not an ideogram. That is an explanation, okay? And so this is explanatory. You notice she didn't go back to feel of it and get information off of it. If she had, she probably wouldn't get anything anyway, because it's not an ideogram, it's a sketch. And so you go on, okay, page 9. Let's see if she's gotten into stage 3 down here. She hasn't. Okay, and so she's still in phase 2. She got the man-made. Okay, stray cat metal boxes, dirty metallic colors, empty like a dump. Okay. And made several square shapes. If you notice, all of those barbecue things were square, rectangular. Moving. Does that say cafeteria?
Yeah.
Oh, moving to the cafeteria to finish. Get away from the people. I understand that. Resumed. Cafeteria is noisy. Listen. When you're in college cramming for exams, one of the things you learn is that there are only 2 places where you can study. One is in the quiet library where there won't be any interruptions, and the other is in the noisiest cafe you can find, where if there are any interruptions you won't even notice them. And so cafeteria is noisy, people talking. Hey, that makes it an ideal place to do a session, because you just tune everybody out, you make your own little space, and then you keep going. And so don't be afraid of doing a session in an airport, a bus station, in a cafeteria, or anything like that. Okay, and she keeps on. Looks like she's doing good. Vast outside, outdoor field, fresh air. Some vast space, outdoor feeling, but visible or underground, and then it cuts off down at the bottom. Yeah. Yeah. Green like a military uniform in front of me. In front of me. All of a sudden she has put herself at the site. The site is now in front of her. There's your AI. And there, in front of me, the very next thing that should be there is how it made her feel. Okay? Oh, here's this thing in front of me. Oh, that's neat. Or that was a surprise. Or, ooh, I don't like this. You know, whatever. But when you have that AI, it's when you place yourself at the site, and the very next thing should be how it makes you feel, because that's an emotion. And in fact, she's got emotional impact here, feeling sort of strange looking, strange feelings of, oh, she did put her feelings in there. Not sure why they're marked out. But an emotion can stop your session cold, and it can really ruin your session. And so when you go poof and you're at the site, there will be an emotional reaction. There always is. Even if it's you still get rid of that because you want to get rid of the emotional impact, but you hang on to the site. And so you hang on to that site contact, you just set aside the emotion, and then you drop on into stage 3. And if you can do that, then all you do in stage 3 is you just start feeling and looking around you and describing what's there and sketching it.
Which she picked up on greasy smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Right, moving along.
Blue sound, droplets of water, kiss. So there's a heavy metal band there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. you know, it could be vaporizing. I don't mean to waffle, but, you know, if you're spraying a grill so you don't catch your steak on fire.
Yeah. And two, I noticed a lot of people had been saying, I forget the exact words, but something about, you know, something about the motion and all of that smoke that was swirling around is going to also be noticeable as motion and something like that moving. I doubt that it's greenish.
Yeah.
Hope it's not the meat that's greenish. But
although, yeah, but green military uniform color, the military sets this up. So, I mean, they helped haul the military helped haul everything in.
Oh, okay.
So there might be people there in uniform.
I'm sure there would be, yeah. Yeah, I got stuck on those details, and one of the good parts about them, I always got stuck on the beer fest because I can speak German, and I couldn't drink while I was there in uniform, but as soon as somebody relieved me, and I went to the car, put on my civvies and went back, and I had made German friends all the way through my shift, and I never bought another drink. I had free drinks for the rest of the evening, and so, yeah, when you get a detail like delivering food like this, it's pretty good detail. Okay. I think there's some definite sight contact here. Oil floating on the water. Okay. Go ahead and go to the summary, if you would.
Okay. Back to that green uniform again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm scrolling just because I don't know where summary starts. Feeling of urgency, yeah?
Yep. An easy feeling, looking for help. People in danger, looking for help. I think she may be building a castle here.
Hey, handwriting's kind of going downhill a lot.
That's usually a very good sign.
More organic.
Yeah. Generally, when your handwriting goes to pot, it's an indicator that your subconscious mind is taking over. Yeah, and that's usually a very good sign.
They're trying to do a good job here, and somebody thinks something has to be perfect. She's saying AOL, but
yeah.
All right, still looking for that summary for you.
Okay, and you notice here how she's numbered the different places on the sketch and then gone over to the side and put the descriptors over there. In front of me again, okay, showing the AI. Oh my God, open, looking around, devastated but in peace and disaster. Yeah. It could very well be that this, yeah, green uniform, here we are back again. It could very well be that this idea of the military being there is going to is going to sort of undermine things depending on how she feels about the military. Well, I was on a radio show and the guy was saying, the military kills and all that, and most people don't understand that the military is taught not to kill. Because if you kill somebody, if you kill the enemy, first of all, it really ticks off the rest of the enemy who you didn't kill, and second, they just step over the dead ones and keep charging. But if you wound the enemy, then it takes 3 of them to get that guy off the battlefield and everything else. And so the soldiers are actually taught not to kill the enemy, but to just harm them in some way where it's going to take 5 people off the battlefield to take care of them. And, you know, most people think, oh, you give somebody a rifle, all of a sudden they're a murderer. It's not true. Yeah, and she's really going into this. Page 23.
Yeah. And she's taking a break.
Yeah, I was going into the Pentagon one day, and this group sort of attacked me, and they came up, you know, you're a warmonger and all that. And, you know, this one guy was actually listening, and I said, what you don't understand is that we're peacemongers, that if we don't do something, war breaks out, and that what we are trying to wage, summary, what we're trying to actually wage is peace. Okay, the target consists of the following gestalts. She lists her gestalts, and quite a few of them, in fact.
Land is green, soft, dirty, dark, shaped, round shaped with a boundary on one side.
Yep. Man-mades are several, square-shaped, like boxes. Okay, and here you see that she's gone through her session, pulled out the things, and organized them. The man-mades are, and in your summary, there's no winking about the site. Here, you pull things out, the man-mades are, and you keep on going, telling only about the man-mades till you get down to the organics and the biologicals, and then there are several. There's a concentration of attention, some are moving, looking around with feeling of urgency to move, and I guess that's uneasy feeling, I'm not sure, because something is left behind. Green colors, fake feeling, okay. And so what you see here is that she has taken the gestalts, gone through the session, and pulled out that information that goes to each gestalt, and now she's coming up with an organized, well-organized summary that can be read and understood by anybody. Many times when you just write a essay type, you'll get a sentence, and all of a sudden in the next paragraph you think, oh, I should have written that other thing up there, and so you write it into the next paragraph, and pretty soon everything is so confused that it's very hard to understand.
And she wrote break, but actually I think she's finished on page 32.
Yeah. Okay. All in all, I would say that these were some good sessions this time.
Yeah, and it took us 2 hours to go through them.
Yeah.
And so however long anybody wants to stay and just throw questions out or do whatever, I'm not sure. Maybe you have to go in, I'm not sure, but whatever you guys want to do for a little bit.
No, I just spent 2 hours on the medical apps meeting tonight, and then 2 hours here, so I'm kind of entrenched into this seat. Got my cup of coffee, everything. Cheers.
Sorry. Anybody want to ask questions? I can take the mutes off, but then you get a lot of feedback, so Marco's got his hand in the air. Let me take the mute off, and here we go.
Okay, do you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers to you also then. I wanted to ask a question actually. It's not about this session. It's a session that I did when was it in the weekend.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. And actually, I asked questions also. I posted in the list, and it was a while since I did a session. I think my last session was when we had the last, topic of the weekend meeting. Do you remember when it was? Was that in last summer or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I noticed that when I was done with the session, I was like I was more sensitive. My ABM feeling was like much better. I could feel much better when I was moving from the doors to doors, like we teach in the ABM exercise. But then after 1 hour, basically the feeling disappeared. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That after the session I had.
I'm having a really hard time understanding the words.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. I was just. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
Is my accent?
No, it's not. It's not your accent. It's the sound of it. I'm not sure what it is. It's overmodulating or something.
Okay, I'll try again. Basically, after the session, I felt the ABMs, my ABMs was much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it like lasted an hour, and then it was just gone. But after the session, I could just much more. Everything around me, in ABMs. And I had never, experienced that before.
Yeah.
It was through the session I sensitized myself so much that I came out. I took it with me for some time. But is this? Can you just like attend it for a longer time?
Yeah. Well, that sort of comes with practice. And this is one of the reasons, like the ambiance exercise, you want to do it, you want to do the exercise until it gets so natural that you don't have to do it as an exercise, it just happens. And like when you do a session, like you were saying there, when you do a session and all of a sudden after the session, your sense of ambiance is heightened, but then it goes away. Well, as you do sessions, and this happens more and more, it won't go away as fast. And it's just a thing of sensitizing yourself more and more and more. And it comes to the point where you're so sensitive to the ambiance around you that, like I say, somebody walks into the room in a blue shirt, you will know the change in ambiance of a blue shirt entry rather than a red shirt, somebody wearing a red shirt when they walk into the room. And you can get that sensitive with it, and it will become so natural and so normal that you won't have to do it as an exercise. It'll just be there all the time. And I'm very willing to bet that when you felt like you weren't feeling the ambiance anymore, you were still feeling it a whole lot more than you normally would. You just weren't getting it so strong that you were feeling it. But I would be willing to bet that even after you felt it went away, you still had a heightened sense of ambiance of the things around you more than you had before. That's just the way it works.
Thanks. I see Robert wants to ask.
Robert has a question. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can. Go ahead.
So, sorry, I had to switch out my microphone. My apologies. Lynn, I would like to appreciate you being on here. As you can see probably from my session, I'm pretty rookie-ish, but it is very interesting to be in this kind of field. Not really a question, more a comment.
It's a very neat field. It's just constantly amazing to me. Like I tell people, I'm not surprised that often anymore by any things I see happening. But if I ever quit being amazed by it, shoot, I'll go back to programming computers. But it doesn't look like I'm ever going to stop being amazed by it. It's just an amazing thing to me.
Well, and also thank you to Teresa for introducing me into it after some questions I had from some other things going on. So
there are a lot of things in this field that would never happen if it weren't for Teresa. She's a powerhouse.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Robert, did you have a question?
no, just a comment at the moment. I got quite a bit to learn regardlessly, so.
Okay.
Well, don't we all?
We have Mike here from the Stargate group, and he has a mic. Let me see. Michael, you're right. That is one hell of a barbecue. Did you have any questions or comments? He says hello all. Not yet, just got here.
Oh.
Well, you're right. That's a hell of a barbecue. Got some good sessions tonight. Lots of good learning points. Marco, hand in the air. Go ahead.
I see David wants to ask, so let's be a gentleman and give David.
Actually, I'm going to see, now that the crowd's thinning out, I can make more people panelists. And we can pass the mic around a little more. Okay, who, if anybody, I have hands in the air from Dave Beatty. I was looking at Dave Self over in the attendees seat. All right, Dave Beatty.
Some experience that I've had is post-session, there's been a shift of mindset for me from my walking around going to work mindset to remote viewing mindset. And then after I've ended the session and have to go back to my work mindset, I have sometimes occasional problems with adjustment. I don't know if that's a common experience or what I could do about that except for just do more of it.
You mean coming in out of ether kind of funny?
Yeah, it's not like you're stupid, but
walking in walls, kind of thing like that?
Not exactly so, but flying an airplane and CRV are not exactly compatible. You know, there's one side of the brain is going to keep you from flying into the ground, and the other side is not worried a damn bit about flying into the ground. It's going to go and do CRV. So there's a transition there. I don't know if that's a common experience or not.
It can be, yeah. And, you know, the difference is that it's almost as you're seeing something through different eyes. You know, ground to the left brain, to the conscious brain, says that's a wall, you can't fly through it. To the right brain, it says, "Ooh, neat ground."
Well, we talk about those phase 2 exercises every now and then. People talk about going down the road, and they're doing, and I'm like, no, focus on your driving, please.
Yeah.
No wandering.
Well, I find it almost annoying to have somebody come barge you in on a CRB session because really the mindset is completely different for the task.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't really mind it on practice sessions, but like I say, you know, last week I was doing an ARV session, and I really wanted to get it done. It was for somebody, and it was, you know, it was an important session. And that's when it really bothers me to have all the interruptions, and of course, that's when all the interruptions come. So like I say, I've gotten to where if it's an important session, I don't do it until about 2 in the morning. And then, of course, I go to bed, and the dreams that night are fantastic. But, you know, you get all that, ooh, cool ground, you get that all out of the way in your dreams rather than in your cockpit when you're flying a plane.
Oh, Marco has his hand in the air. And then it's 10:37. I've been recording for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let's see what Marco would like to ask. Go ahead.
Okay. Just something to say that when I did my session on the weekend, it was, like I said, a long time since I did the last one. But I remember before I went to class in Lynn, in Dublin, I had like a mentor, Colleen, and she was saying that, you know, when Lynn had to go to Washington to a session or something, a very important session, he did very well. And basically I was just, you know, I was doing my session, and there were my work colleagues seeing this session just, and you know, I was a little bit stressed, and like a long time since I did the session. But then I remember what Colin said, that, you know, your sati just asks for this moment to shine.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So I remember that, what Colin said, and then, yeah, I was a little bit amazed how well I did, since I had like 6 months gap. Just, you know, going through the doubts and stuff like that, but still I managed, you know, to come with decent session.
Yeah. It took me a very long time. You know, pictures and envelopes and practice sessions and all that, a real yawn fest. Just, you know, why do I have to do another practice session, another picture out of National Geographic or something like that? And it took me the longest time to realize the importance of a practice session, that if you don't do those practice targets, you're never going to do the real target. And of course, I always wanted the real target. Those are the ones that were a real challenge, and that's where my subconscious came in and did a good job and all that, and always got good results, and it was fantastic, and, you know, good feedback and all that. But it took me the longest time to realize that if I hadn't done those practice targets, I wouldn't have been able to do the ones I really liked. And it took me the longest time to realize just how important those practice sessions are. And that's when it dawned on me that the practice sessions were more of a challenge to me than the real sessions. And so all of a sudden I started looking at them like, ooh, this is a big challenge. That's a picture in an envelope, boring as it can be. Now that's a challenge. And then it became, I wonder if I can meet that challenge. And so the practice sessions became, they became more interesting too. That's the only way I know to explain it.
Okay. And, oh, sorry.
I'm scrolling over the feedback a little bit for those folks who work the target with zoomed into 400. So, you know, if they had any question about any of their perceptions, they might see them, like zigzaggy, wavy lines and stuff like that. So, I'm sorry, go ahead. Robert has another question. I think we probably should move it around, and I think we should think about ending in maybe another 10 minutes. We're at 2 hours and 19 minutes. Okay, so 10 more minutes.
I was wondering if Gail and Janine had anything to say too.
Oh, I'm watching the no hands in the air and nothing in the texting area. So.
Okay.
Well, I certainly don't want to step over anyone if there is a question. But
okay, we're trying to watch. We're sharing.
Lynn, you brought up a minute ago about interesting dreams and such. That was actually my impedance for us, or my interest in speaking to Teresa about it. Was I was having some interesting dreams, and it seems to be after I do a session, sometimes my dreams are heavily influenced in that area afterwards. Yeah. Is that a pretty common facet, or?
Oh yeah. One of the reasons is, you know, all of your life, the subconscious has been screaming at you, and you haven't been listening, and you haven't been giving it the right to say things, and all of a sudden now then you're saying, okay, for the next hour, subby, you're in charge, and it likes that. And you know, it likes having a say-so, and once you start giving it a say-so, then you're going to have more interesting dreams. You're going to have just a more interesting life all around, because all of a sudden you've got a subconscious who can help you, who can jump in there whenever it's needed, and who can be creative, and all of a sudden, you know, ideas start coming. If you're an artist, all of a sudden your art gets better. We have a reporter here in town who was, for years, just a small town reporter, and he learned the CRV, and about 3 years after that, he was one of only 2 reporters in the nation given an hour alone with the President of the United States, and has won all kinds of awards and everything else. Yeah, your subconscious gets a chance to have it say, oh yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Yeah.
Okay. Back to Marco. Marco, you're on.
Okay. I basically have also done sessions with non-qualified people, you know, just with my friends and workmates, and I have done with 3 people. So the last person was is my friend, and but he is very, I think he's you know, he's naturally, you know, psychic. He can often he can see people where they are and what location and stuff. So he doesn't speak a lot of English, but yeah, he did the session anyway, and he did very well. He did excellent for this 5 pages what he had. He nailed everything 100%. But it was interesting to see that he was, you know, viewing his feedback picture, because in the picture there was it was like a red dot, or you might say like a red brick, well, you know, what was actually not on the target. But in the page 2 he was describing this kind of red brick. It was the same target actually that you gave me in Dublin, and you told me to keep it. And
yeah.
Just and you know, basically all of these 3 people, they got the right perceptions. Yeah. And it was it just you know, realize to myself that it seems that we all have the capability to do that.
Yeah.
Just
one of the interesting things, one of the reasons we give picture targets more than just straight text targets, you know, feedback, is because almost all the time, a beginning viewer will view their feedback rather than the target. It's very seldom that a beginning viewer will actually view the target rather than the feedback, which brings up an interesting point, and that is that they're viewing 30 minutes into the future. And when you realize that, you realize that even for the rankest beginner, time is the easiest thing. Jumping through time, moving through time is really the easiest thing. And so, yeah, it's very common that a beginning viewer, especially if they have a lot of really good talent, will view their feedback. And so in the military unit, they taught us to view our feedback up until the point where they taught us to view the target, and they started weaning us from having feedback. And it's terrible. It's like weaning a baby, I think. It's just a terrible time. So yeah, but this is normal. A beginning viewer normally views their feedback rather than the target.
Okay. Good to know. But there's just a lot of interest, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And just locally, you know, people who have spoken with, mostly they're open to this, and what I've seen also.
Well, I had hoped to come to Reykjavik there and teach a class, and of course didn't get to. I haven't given up on the idea yet.
No. We'll make it happen.
Excuse me. I see Gail has a question.
Ah, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. I just had a suggestion for Marco on the auditory perceptions that you were talking about earlier. For example, on a target like this, if you go and look for some YouTube video as supplemental feedback, you'll get auditory feedback, and that may help you get the perceptions in the session. And I often do that on Target of the Week targets. I don't just limit myself to what's behind the button on Target of the Week.
Good.
You know, I'll go online and see if I can find, especially where it's a particular, you know, one-time event like this. Any YouTube video you find of that event on that day is fair feedback, I think. So I try and go find more things, and I think that that may help. You know, if there's a particular type of thing you're trying to get better at, if you can go find feedback of that nature, that might help you get it.
Yeah, and when you hear those sounds, describe them, even though it's after the session.
For example, this session, for whatever reason, I really had trouble getting visual impressions. So I just switched and started trying to get other things. So I was getting the smoke, and I was getting a lot of sounds, including like not just a human voice, but I knew it was a male voice that was amplified, you know, using a microphone. I could kind of tell it was an outdoor ambiance by the way the sound was, and I got all that off of, I think, you know, from the YouTube that I watched afterwards.
Gail, did you send that to me? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't.
Okay. I was going to go find it.
No. That was the one that I mentioned on the CRV list, though, a couple days ago.
Okay.
But I didn't want to put specifics up there. But I can tell you now, the P7 that I got that was funny, my P7 was, "Now we're cooking."
Oh. Cool.
This is another thing about time, is that once you start realizing that your feedback can influence your session, you find that one of those days you're going to be able to do a session and influence the past. And this gets into another whole realm of remote viewing, but the fact is that we have learned that through CRV you can influence the past. I'll just leave that one sitting right there and not mention it anymore.
Yeah,
don't do this like that then.
Well, but the thing is, you know, your feedback after a session can actually help you during the session. And so the more you look at these YouTube videos and all that in your feedback, and don't just depend on what's there written with the target of the week, but actually go looking for these things, they can actually affect your session, even though the session's already been done by the time you look at the feedback. And so these can help you sensitize you to sounds, smells, tastes, things like that, and can make you a better viewer. So good point, Gail. Really good point.
And Marco is thanking you over in the texting area.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, folks, believe it or not, in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Hey, very good. Thank you for doing this, Teresa.
You're welcome. I just can't stand the thought of folks out there trying their hardest and doing sessions and, you know, having questions, and they would make progress if they could only have the opportunity to have their questions answered.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I'm here.
That's good.
All right, thank you so much for coming, Lynn. Without you, where would we be? Nowhere. So
maybe better off. Who knows?
no. Thanks everybody for coming, but I do think we probably ought to call it a night. We have another one of these targets of the week. They're every 2 weeks, actually. It's just Lynn's website. We've always called them target of the week, but I don't think anybody's going to be able to keep up with weekly. I thought every 2 weeks would be more realistic, and so I have 6 up. And for those people who are registered, I thought I would continue to email you privately, and we're going to offer some front-loading opportunity if you want that, because I've just been posting coordinates, and we're going to be offering some retasking and throw in a target or 2 that did not come from Lynn's website, so that'll be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. And by the way, if you find a target kind of like this or something where there's actually numbers that advanced people can get and things like that, and good patterns and everything that all the different levels of viewers can get, I'm always looking for targets. I'm over a year behind again on the targets of the week. And please, no pictures of your cat. I know you love your cat, but I don't. No pictures of your cat. But if you find targets like this,
with lots of gestalts.
Lots of gestalts, lots of sensories, lots of everything. Please send them to me, and I'll make them into a target of the week. With text and history. With enough text, at least, that I can go find more information on the internet. I mean, just a picture doesn't do any good.
Right.
But that would help me greatly on doing these targets of the week and being caught up on them.
Yeah.
So thank you in advance.
Okay. Again, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and please keep checking the WebEx registration area for more targets and coordinates as they go up. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to see if I can practice giving the camera to me. I don't know that I can, but I'm going to try. New buttons, you know.
I'm going to go see how the spouse fry is doing.
Tell her we love her.
All right.
All right.
Good night, y'all.
Night.
Good night.
Oh, there's Marco. Sorry. I thought that I had done that, but maybe not.
Okay. I say good night also. It's time to go.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, Teresa.
Good night. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Hi, Phil David.
Hello, Miss Teresa.
I miss you. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm getting better every day. That's what I tell myself. But